We are taught that to meditate, we have to do something, sit in a posture, watch our breath, recite a mantra. These are useful beginnings, but they are only superficial. But for Ramana Maharshi, meditation is a return, a journey into the deepest part of our being to discover the answer to the ultimate question, who am I? Begin with stillness. Meditation is not doing, it's stopping. Ramana's insight goes straight to the heart of the matter. True meditation begins not with doing, but with stopping. This stopping is not just a stillness of the body. It is a much more radical stopping, a reflexive stopping of clinging to the endless stream of thoughts, emotions, and memories. Imagine your mind as a film that has been running non-stop since time immemorial. Meditation, according to Ramana, is the act of turning away from the screen and recognizing the light from the projector, the source of all images. Ramana Maharshi once asserted, "Silence is the true revelation. It is the eternal flow of inner speech." When you practice this cessation, you are not trying to create peace, you are allowing the inherent peace to reveal itself. You are peeling away the layers of disturbance to recognize the primordial stillness that is always there. This is not a quest for some mystical spiritual experience, but a courageous letting go of the past, letting go of the future, and letting go of the attempt to become anything else. In that stillness, your true self, which has no name, no form, no birth, no death, begins to shine forth. Vichara, the sword of wisdom that cuts all identifications. The heart of Ramana's teaching is the Vichara, self-inquiry, method through the powerful question, who am I? Koam? This is not a philosophical riddle that needs a verbal answer. All answers like I am the soul or I am the universal consciousness are just concepts, gilded cages of the mind. This question is essentially a tool, a sharpened sword of wisdom to cut through all false identifications. The process goes like this. When a thought arises, for example, I am sad, instead of getting lost in it, turn inward and ask, what is it that is aware of this sadness? When you identify with the body, I am this body, ask. This body changes, sometimes strong, sometimes weak, sometimes alive, sometimes dead. Who is the witness to this change? Every time you trace back like this, the attention is pulled back from the object, thought, emotion, body, to the subject, the source of awareness. You don't need to destroy the thought, you just need to trace its root, where the thought arises. When you look directly at it, it will dissolve by itself, like darkness disappears when there is light. Peel away the layers of the onion. I am not this body, not this emotion, not this memory, until there is nothing left to deny, and you will touch the self. It is not a discovery of something new, but a recognition of what has always been you, even before the question was asked. Direct practice, returning to the source of the thought I. Take a moment now. 1. Stop all activity. Sit still. Feel your own presence, right here, right now. 2. Let any thought arise in the mind. 3. Instead of chasing it, gently ask within, who is aware of this thought? 4. Don't look for a verbal answer. Just direct your attention to the knower, the deep feeling of I am. 5. Rest in that feeling of being. It has no image, no sound, but it is radiant and alive. This is the core practice. Each inquiry is a deeper dive into the ocean of your own silence, where all waves of thought originate and dissolve. Meditation is not in time, meditation is being, not habit. Many people see meditation as a timed activity, 20 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. But for Ramana, if meditation has a beginning and an end, it is still within the realm of time and mind. True meditation is beyond time. Your true state is eternal. You need not strive to attain it. All striving is an obstacle. Imagine that you are a big screen, and all the experiences of life, joy, sadness, success, failure, are the films that are projected. No matter how dramatic or tragic the film is, the screen remains unaffected, still white and pure. Realizing that you are that screen, not the film, is the essence of meditation. When you are established in your true self, you cannot escape meditation to become a normal person, because you realize that you have never left your true self. Meditation then does not only take place on the cushion, but flows in every action, when you wash the dishes, when you chat, when you walk in the middle of a crowded street. The body and mind still act, but inside you is a boundless, still space that nothing can touch. This is the ultimate freedom, not to seek peace in a particular place or time, but to realize that you are that peace, still, radiant and unchanging, in the midst of the ever-changing world. Silence Mauna, the language of being, the power beyond words. When we talk about silence, our minds often picture a space devoid of sound. But for Ramana Maharshi, the silence, Mauna, he spoke of was not the opposite of noise. It was a deeper dimension, the foundation of awareness itself, an inner space that is never disturbed, whether outside is the noisy marketplace or inside is the storm of thoughts. This silence is not an emptiness, but a fullness. It is the ocean of stillness beneath all the waves of sound and form. Ramana considered it the highest form of revelation, because silence, Mauna, is a constant dialogue. It is the eternal flow of language. Why is silence so transformative? Because words and thoughts arise from the mind, the place of distinction and duality. But true silence flows from the heart, Hridayam, from the non-dual being itself. It does not argue with the ego or try to suppress thoughts. It simply is. Just as the sun does not need to fight the darkness, it simply shines, and its presence is the disappearance of darkness. When you touch this silence, all inner resistance automatically melts away without any struggle. Presence radiates from silence. Many people have reported that simply sitting in the presence of Ramana Maharshi, without a word being exchanged, the noisy torrent of their minds suddenly quieted down. Anxiety seemed to dissolve into a purer, larger space. He did not need to do anything. The energy of stillness radiates from him invisibly, awakening the stillness that has been dormant in each person. This is not a miracle, but the natural law of awareness. Stillness is contagious. Ramana never claimed to be a special individual. He simply reflected back to us our true nature. When you have the courage to let go of the noise of the ego and dwell in the stillness of your inner center, you too become a beacon of stillness. Then your silence is not avoidance, but a deep integration with life. You listen without judgment, you look without prejudice. Your words, when spoken from that still space, carry an unusual weight and authenticity. Your actions are no longer driven by impulse or fear, but flow from a steady wisdom. Living from a still center does not mean you become weak or passive. On the contrary, you tap into a source of infinite power. It is not the power of imposition to control the outside world, but the supreme power of stillness, the power to dissolve all conflicts, heal all fears, and unite all divisions from within. Returning to the place never left, when meditation and life become one. Ramana Maharshi points out that, once we reach the other shore, we no longer need to carry the raft. The goal of meditation is its own dissolution, when there is no longer any distinction between meditation and non-meditation. Meditation is then no longer something you do, but what you are. This transformation occurs when the core mechanism of the ego is seen. The ego, the knot of identification and resistance. The ego is not a solid entity. It is a habit of energy, the habit of shrinking and identifying oneself as a separate individual. It is based on two main motivations. Identification, labeling everything as mine, this body is mine, these emotions are mine, this life story is mine. Resistance, resisting or clinging to experiences, based on whether they reinforce or threaten that I image. The who am I method of self-questioning is not an attack to destroy the ego. It is a light that gently draws out the fuel of the two forces. When you look directly at a thought and see that you are not it, the identification loosens. When you allow an emotion to pass without resistance, its energy is released. The ego is not killed. It simply dissolves into the clarity of awareness, like a salt cube dissolving into the ocean. Freedom is not a destination, it is awakening. The greatest paradox on this path is found in Ramana's immortal teaching. You do not have to attain the self. You only have to cease to believe that you are not it. Enlightenment is not a future achievement. It is the realization of a truth that has always been there. You do not have to create silence, you simply stop making noise. Just as when you wake up from a dream, you do not achieve consciousness, you simply stop dreaming. The practice of meditation is the act of pinching yourself to realize that you are dreaming the dream of a separate individual. When the mind becomes the servant. A common misconception is that enlightenment requires the destruction of the mind. Ramana taught the opposite. The mind is not the enemy, identification with the mind is the bondage. When it is no longer dominated by the illusion of a master I, the mind returns to its original role, a sophisticated and wonderful instrument of perception. It is no longer a tyrannical master, but a devoted servant of the light of the heart. You still think, you still plan, you still create, but those activities no longer stir the ocean of silence within you. You have not destroyed the mind. You have only stopped being fooled by it. The journey has come to an end. From learning to stop, using the sword of who am I, bringing silence into your life, and finally, realizing there is no practitioner. There is only life living itself through this form. The path is complete. There is nothing to achieve, nowhere to go. You are what you have been seeking. It has always been. To practice the true spirit of the saint, it is necessary not only to understand the question, but also to understand the wrong turns that Ramana pointed out, along with the way to get back on the right path. 1. The trap of the mind, turning self-inquiry into a reasoning exercise. Many people repeat the question who am I, but turn it into a logical problem, trying to find an answer with reason. Ramana warned that this is a big trap. When you reason, you are stuck in the cognitive level of the mind, a tool that cannot reach the self. Ramana's golden words, do not seek an answer. Let the question burn the questioner. Instead of analyzing, use the question as a fire that burns the questioner, the thinking ego. The key is to return attention to the source of awareness, to the sense of the one who is aware of all those thoughts, not to the thoughts themselves. 2. The trap of experience, waiting for the magical miracle. A common misconception is that enlightenment must be accompanied by transcendental experiences, flashes of light, strange sounds, or a feeling of bliss. This belief keeps the practitioner in a state of waiting, missing the present moment. Ramana's profound teaching, Any experience that comes and goes is not the self. The self is not a temporary state, it is the static, eternal essence. Every experience, no matter how wonderful, is a fleeting phenomenon in the stream of consciousness. By clinging to these moments, you inadvertently build a new spiritual self, and continue to miss the unchanging essence that has always been there. 3. The trap of stillness, trying to hold on to a state. The stillness that Ramana refers to is not a mental state that can come and go. It is the immovable ground, the very nature of being. Many people try to hold stillness, creating an internal tension and conflict. The real key is, you don't need to try to create stillness, you already are it. When you realize stillness is your own eternal ground, all efforts to achieve it will disappear. Instead of trying to hold on to a state, you let go, to be free to return to your still nature. 4. The trap of comparison, measuring your progress against others. The ego is very clever. It can put on the mantle of a good practitioner to continue to exist. Comparing your progress against others is a subtle manifestation of the ego. Ramana's admonition, do not look outside to measure. Look inside to know. The journey of enlightenment is an internal journey, completely unique. All comparison is a game of the ego to assert its worth or to feel inferior, and both are obstacles. The key is to focus completely on your own inquiry, not on anyone else. 5. From questioner to being, the end of all searches. The ultimate goal of this method is not to find an answer to the question, who am I? The goal is for the questioner to disappear. When there is no questioner, the question becomes meaningless. You do not answer who am I, you become the answer. This is the shift from seeking to pure awareness, from subject-object separation to the harmony of just being. Overcoming the pitfalls, top tips. Don't turn meditation into a competition. Enlightenment is not a project to be completed or a race. Return to the source. Whenever the mind starts to analyze or complicate, return to the core question, who is aware of this? The true self is always here. Remember that the true self is not a future destination, but a reality that is already present. Conclusion, silence never leaves you. When we learn how to meditate like Ramana Maharshi, the strange thing is that the deeper we go, the more we realize there is no path to walk, no destination to reach. It is all about returning to what has never left us, the unmoving, nameless, unborn, undying presence. Ramana never wanted us to become his disciples. He only wanted us to realize who truly lives in us, before the thought of I. Once you realize, you will understand, meditation is not a thing to do, but a vision that is never lost. In that vision, the ego dissolves like morning dew, and only the supreme silence remains, something that does not need to be preserved, because it has never been lost. And then, you will no longer ask, how to meditate like Ramana? Because the very question has disappeared, leaving only what you already are, stillness.